How's everyone doing today? Welcome to the YouTube channel. I'm Dan Spielvogel checking in. And today I'm going to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. And back on April 18th, there was a person that said the Minnesota Timberwolves was going to win the NBA Finals, who had them at plus 2,500 odds to win the finals. This person also has a had the Wolves at plus 900 to win the West too. And that person is me right here. The film does not lie. This person also had Anthony Edwards winning an NBA and Finals MVP, and you know what? I said that. And here's the footage. Watch this. Finals. Anthony Edwards will win his first Finals MVP. Yep, you heard it right here. Anthony Edwards is playing at an MVP level. He's been insanely good, and this whole Wolves team is just sending a message to the rest of the league. They're putting the world on notice that these guys are for real. They have literally held the Denver Nuggets under 100 points in back-to-back games. In Denver, both times. In fact, Denver has scored less than 100 points in only 10 games all season long. 4 of them came against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And 2 of them came in this series on their home floor. So Minnesota has found a way to take out Denver. And we know that the GM of the Timberwolves, Tim Connolly, he was at Denver being their president of basketball operations for almost 10 years, 2013 to 2022. Signed a 5-year deal, become the GM of the Timberwolves, and he is off to a fantastic start. Made a questionable trade for Rudy Gobert. Many people, including myself, thought they gave up too many future picks. But this turned out to be brilliant because Rudy Gobert is an absolute menace on defense, and it works. It really does work. And another thing is that they didn't even need him last night, and they still beat the hell out of Denver on Denver's home floor. Like I said, Anthony Edwards has been playing at an MVP level, dropping a consistent 25 to 45 points in these playoffs. And you have Karl-Anthony Towns who's playing some great ball as well. Had a double-double last night at 27 and 12, which is very, very important. But another thing that needs to be mentioned is the bench. Naz Reid has been amazing the first 2 games of this Denver series. He took over in that fourth quarter in game 1, where he had 14 of his 16 in the fourth quarter, and he scored 10 straight. And then you had Naz Reid in game 2, had 14 points in this one with 4 rejections. And he blocked Jokic a couple of times at least. And he did have that block on Jamal Murray too. So, I mean, Naz Reid was just fantastic defensively, as was the whole Wolves team. Nickeil Alexander-Walker was great defensively too. He was literally smiling while clamping up Jamal Murray. That says something. He takes pride in his defense. And he provided 14 points in game 2 as well. And hit 4 threes, got 3 blocks himself. The team got 12 blocks in this game. They got 11 steals. They forced 19 turnovers and multiple shot clock violations. That this Wolves defense is insanely good. Like, we all know that they had the #1 defensive rating in the NBA, and they've been doing it in the postseason as well. And then what also makes this Wolves team extremely scary is that they've been the #1 rated offense in the NBA, in the playoffs. Not in the whole league, but in these playoffs, they have been the #1 rated offense too, because they get such efficient shots. Like, they don't take bad shots. They're not gonna really turn it over that much. So they're very disciplined. They're very well coached. Like I said, Chris Finch has done an amazing job, and they've shot 45% or better in all 6 playoff games this year. So they have been insanely good and efficient offensively, and then they put the clamps down on you defensively. So here's some footage from last night about that defense. Let's take a look.
Crossover Reid, corner pass to Daniels, 3-0. Murray's got the rebound. Wolves without Gobert tonight. There goes Murray, trailing into the defense. It puts him. He's in a stretch. He gets. Look at him trying to get out. He goes away. They got it out to Jackson. 2 minutes gone in the second. Shot clock down to 7. Alexander walking the bench. This defense in Minnesota has been incredible. Murray, corner, Watson, no time to fire. Let's it go off the backboard. Shot clock violation. Right now, this is where the frustration for Murray is coming from. When you're a scorer, you cannot get space. When they're all over you, the frustration is mounting. You can't get your rhythm. Look at the length on it. Alexander and Jaden McDaniels draped on either side of Murray.
You see that defense? That is insane level of defense. And they didn't foul one time on that sequence. That trap was excellent. They got Jamal Murray flustered all series long. They did the same thing to Devin Booker and Bradley Beal in the last series against Phoenix as well. They just flustered those guards with their length and their just tenacity defensively. And you just love to see that out of a team that takes pride in their defense like the Timberwolves do. And then they held Jamal Murray to 3 out of 18 for only 9 points in game number 2. They clamped him, and he was frustrated all game long, whether it was at the officials or the Timberwolves just locking him up. I mean, bro was literally throwing in the towel. He was also throwing heat pads onto the floor. And then he even did the money sign to the official. That's probably going to get a fine from him, at least. Well, Rudy Gobert did that, and he got fined $100K. So, I believe that he's definitely going to get fined at least a 9-figure fine. And maybe even possibly a game 3 suspension because of all the other antics that he did from the bench. And yes, he probably should deserve a suspension because the heat pad on the floor, that could have been dangerous. Somebody could have stepped on that and really seriously injured themselves. But aside from that, they also have done a great job clamping up Nikola Jokic. I mean, the big man rotation, seeing 3 different 6'10" to 7 feet guys on him, I think has given Nikola Jokic a lot of problems. And look, in game 1, he probably had the quietest 32-point game I've ever seen. He shot less than 50% from the field. He was 2 out of 9 from the 3-point line in game 1. So you gotta give Naz Reid, Karl Towns, and Rudy Gobert a ton of credit in game 1. They locked him up. And saying, oh, he had 32 points, he did his part. He had to work for those points, man. He had to earn them. And then in game 2, he was clamped even better by this Wolves defense. They held him at 5 of 13 from the field, 16 points, only 16 points. And he didn't even attempt a 3 in that game. They did it so well. And that was without Rudy Gobert. So they even put like Kyle Anderson on him. And I mean, Naz Reid and Karl Towns both did a fantastic job as well when they were on Jokic as well. Just really given Denver just all kinds of problems. And this is the worst I have ever seen a Nikola Jokic-led Denver team ever in my life. And I think they have finally met their superior, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. And at first, when I was making my initial video back on April 18th, I was generous in giving the proper respect to the defending champion Nuggets. I gave them 2 games, even though it's looking like it could end in 4. And like I said, the champs, man. Like in game 2, I was totally wrong about that, and I said like, oh, Denver's too good to lose 2 in a row on their home floor like this, and no Rudy Gobert. I'm like, they should win this game, and if they don't, it should be an embarrassment. But what Minnesota did is they embarrassed Denver. They held them to their season low for the entire season, 80 points and 35% shooting. Gotta give the Wolves defense a ton of credit. Everybody just contributes, and this team really buys in. And which is why I picked the Wolves to win the NBA Finals. And they are looking insanely good, and they are putting the rest of the league on notice. So I just have to give the shout out to Chris Finch and company and the Wolves for what an amazing job they've done all postseason. And a lot of people, I felt like, wrote them off when they lost to Phoenix on the last day of the regular season, when they had an opportunity to get the number 1 seed in the West, right? They lose that game by double digits, and then they have to draw Phoenix again, right? Like, oh, Phoenix got this, and they beat them 3 times already in the regular season. They have their number, they match up well, right? No, Anthony Edwards just took that personally. He's like, they're not gonna beat us a single time in this series, and just took over. And then all these other guys just bought in and just sent a message the first round. They started to turn some heads when they swept the Suns. And many people, including myself, did not think that would happen. I did think the Wolves would beat the Suns, but I thought it would go at least 6 or 7 games and not end in a sweep like it did. And then you have the Denver Nuggets, right? On the ESPN, I see the experts making their picks about the Wolves and Nuggets, right? 10 out of 11 picked the Nuggets to win this series. The only one who did not pick the Nuggets was Bobby Marks. And I gotta give him credit for this. He picked the Wolves in 6 games. And which is exactly what I had initially. And I just didn't see Minnesota winning in Denver in a game 7. So which is why I had him in 6, ending it on home floor. But to steal the first 2 games on the road, this could possibly end in a sweep. And I have to say, man, the odds that I got him at, I feel really, really happy about. And then I had them beating the Nuggets in a series to win $2.85 off on $1 bet, right? And then I had the Wolves at plus 900 to win the West, $1 bet to win $10. And then I had the NBA Finals, the Wolves to win the Finals, $1 to win $26. So let's make this money. Hopefully the Wolves continue this dominant play and go to the NBA Finals and win the whole damn thing. So this is Dan Spielvogel signing off.